Hello and welcome back to the Bookshelf Odyssey. Today I wanted to get on to talk real quick, hopefully, about 3 different reading events I'm participating in December. Decembers are crazy, especially as I have, among other things I do, I have a Christmas podcast as well. So I always talk about how I get so busy during that time of year. So, of course, this year I decided to take things easy by adding even more events that I'm participating in. But these 3 reading events really overlap each other quite a bit. And I'm just excited to be reading more Victorian literature and talking with more people about their experiences with it. And of course, one of the main themes through each of these reading challenges is Charles Dickens and his Christmas works. So, I mean, I'm a sucker. They saw me coming a mile away. They okay. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, enough of the waffle there. Let's jump in and talk about these challenges or these reading events that maybe one or all 3 might appeal to you. First of all, I've mentioned already, but I'll mention again, is the Dickens December event hosted by Jess at Dickens and Docs on Instagram. So this one's not on YouTube, but it is on Instagram. And I've interviewed her a couple of times back in October for a couple of things with Victober. And I'm really excited about what they have planned for the read-along. A nice mixture of things I've read and things I haven't. So their reading list is, they're going to start off reading The Cricket on the Hearth by Charles Dickens, one of his Christmas novellas, although Christmas isn't really featured in the story, but it was published at Christmas time as a Christmas story. And it does have just a hint of ghostliness to it, but it's not even strictly a ghost story. It's almost like the story being told from what the cricket or the some would call maybe a household god or a household spirit is observing. But it's a beautiful little story, and I think will make a fun read. And then by Elizabeth Barrett Browning is The Holy Night, which is one I haven't read before. I don't think I've read a lot of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, if any at all. So I'm looking forward to getting into something new. And then there's The Old Nurse's Story by Elizabeth Gaskell, a lovely little ghost story that I believe she wrote that story as part of one of Dickens's short story collections that he collaborated with other writers for Christmas short story collections. Keep that in mind because there's another event coming up that has to do with ghost stories. Then there's The Tailor of Gloucester, however you pronounce that, by Beatrix Potter. I've never read Beatrix Potter. I might have read some of her stories to my kids when they were younger, but that just sounds like a really nice, cozy read. And then another new one for me, Man Size in Marble by Edith Nesbitt. I have no idea what that's about, but I'll look forward to that. And then, of course, they're going to read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, which is a story I'm sure you've heard of. And if you're interested in reading some of those and reading along with the group, I'll make sure to leave that linked below. They have the reading schedule posted on Instagram as well, and it all starts on December 1st. And you're not even reading every day. There's a few days that you have off reading, things like that. So it's a very accessible reading challenge if you are crazy busy during December, like most of everyone. They will be reading A Christmas Carol from December 15th through the 19th, which is about the right time of the month to read A Christmas Carol. Although sometimes I wait and read it as close to Christmas as possible. And then other times I've been known to read it even as early December or even late November. But then if I read it too early, I want to reread it again as Christmas gets closer. So, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for being such a Dickens fan at Christmas time. But I participated a little bit last year, I think it was. And there's a group chat on Instagram. I think they bring you into, and that's how you communicate what you're reading and thoughts and all that. But I'll leave the details down below again. Now, if that sounds like fun, let's add to it, because there's another reading event called Ghosts of Christmas Past. And it's created by Vin from Revenant Reads and is co-hosted by Elaine at Cobalt Dragon, Debs at Rainer Reads Stuff, and Pat at Book Chat with Pat. And that's where I heard it, is on her channel. And they have a Voxer group that they set up. And this is also a very easy, relaxed reading event. So their desire is to revive the Victorian tradition of reading ghost stories at Christmas. So this could appeal to anyone, people like me who are Christmas fanatics, or if you're feeling kind of the bah humbugs this year, you can do something Christmassy without it feeling, too hallmarky. Victorians, I think, wrote some of the best ghost stories, because a lot of the stories were dealt with these ghost stories very subtly, and the spookiness, it doesn't come from graphic in your face gore and violence, but from just a light touch here and there, and then sudden dramatic reveals and things like that. It's great. So there's a group read. They'll be reading Charles Dickens' short story The Signalman, which is a classic ghost story, very atmospheric, and one of my favorite Dickens short stories. And that I'll happily read again. Not that I need to, but I definitely will. And like I said, there's a Voxer chat that will be set up where we can share our thoughts on the story. And really just two other challenges. If you want, one is to read other ghost stories from the Victorian era, which I would highly recommend. And then the third is to read more modern ghost stories, which there are plenty. A ghost story I read recently that I really enjoyed, a modern one, was Grady Hendrix's How to Sell a Haunted House. It involves ghosts, and I believe, if I'm not mixing up my stories, that involves like creepy dolls as well. So, some classic ghost story tropes. Also for this challenge, I'll be reading the collection I got of Dr. Marigold's prescriptions, which contains a bunch of short stories. And I am pretty sure there will be a ghost story in there. But if not, I'm also reading another round of stories by the Christmas Fire, which is a collection, again, of short stories that Dickens and other authors collaborated on for Christmas. And I know in that one there are some ghost stories. What's great about this challenge, too, is if you read A Christmas Carol in December, you've met the challenge. If you read, find any collection of Victorian ghost stories will count. Those are easy to find. You can often find them online for free. Project Gutenberg, you can find them there. Valancourt produces a nice collection of Christmas Victorian ghost stories as well. So there's that challenge I'm pretty excited to be participating in, because I think the idea of reading ghost stories at Christmas is such an unusual one, but really, really fascinating. I love the sentimental and saccharine Christmas Victorian stories as well. There's plenty of those. The Christmas Hirelings is one I'd recommend, but there is something about that too, that the nights are long, it's cold, it's scary outside, the weather is frightful for sure, and what a great time to read a ghost story. And I'm really looking forward to engaging with that community. I'm looking forward to making new friends. And then I said I'd be quick, and this is not turning out to be quick. Then the third challenge I want to talk about is called A Dickens at Christmas. And it's hosted by Alan's Reads, and also co-hosted by Julie at Bookish Travels. Two channels I followed and was really excited when I saw that they were doing something related to Dickens during Christmas. Again, a very casual read. They're going to be reading from December 1st to like January 12th. They have a group read, but what their encouragement is basically read anything by Dickens. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it goes till January 6th, 12th night. I had number 12 in my mind. So the group read is Pickwick Papers, which I would have read, except I just read it back in September. And I'll be honest, I feel like I could read it again, but I know it's too early and I wouldn't enjoy it as much. So I don't want to ruin such a wonderful book. But I've read that book about 4 or 5 times now. It's one of my favorite Dickenses. So I'll be at least participating in group discussions over that book. I believe they also have a Voxer channel where there will be discussions. So if this is your first time, you've been thinking about wanting to read Pickwick Papers, this is a great time to pick it up. And then they also say just read anything by Dickens, a novel, a short story, a work written by him. They said you could also watch films, documentaries, or plays, read a nonfiction book, read a book about him, by him, whatever. And they've really just kept that open. So I will, again, won't be reading the group challenge, but I've got a lot of other Dickens I'll be reading that month. So, I feel like that counts and I can overlap. But I will be reading a nonfiction book that I'll be starting in mid-November, but it will spread out into December. And it's called The Lives and Times of Ebenezer Scrooge. Now, this book is by Paul Davis, and it looks like it came out in 1990. It is, let's see, how old is that? Then that would make it about 35 years old. I'm old. Honestly, it feels like 1990 was just the other day. But what that book looks like, what it's about is it explores the cultural impact of A Christmas Carol, and it looks at it from the time it was first published up until relatively modern times. And it looks at the different adaptations and different things like that. I can't remember where I picked that up from, but as you might know, I have a collection, a rather big collection of nonfiction books about Dickens and his life and works, and that's one I haven't read yet. So I'm going to be reading that this Christmas time, along with all my other Dickens things. So I hope to talk about that book maybe in a December edition of Distracted by Dickens. I think very likely I'll be talking about A Christmas Carol at some point on my channel. That's a book that's almost become a part of me. I've read it so much. I mean, it really has become a part of who I am, which is an odd thing to say, I guess, but I know bookworms, you understand. All right, that's all I wanted to share today. Do any of these reading events sound interesting to you? I will link everybody's channels down below and would encourage you to check them out. Check out the event videos and see if it might be something you can fit in this year. Reading Dickens is so fun, and reading Victorian classics are great fun, but it's even better when you can read it with a group of people and talk about it, share thoughts. If there's something you don't understand, because Victorian reading can be difficult at times, I found it very helpful to ask, hey, what is going on in this story? I don't get it. And sometimes that helps me see what I'm missing. So yeah, great fun. And I'm looking forward to all of that coming. That'll be it for me today. I hope I'll see you either here, there, or on Voxer somewhere. And until next time, Merry Christmas and happy reading. Take care.